Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday. It's time for a Q&A. This is where I take all of the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Couple of things. First of all, I'm very sorry. Last Sunday, YouTube corrupted the upload and the last 15 minutes was missed off and I was away at a Magic convention. Michael wasn't in the office. We managed to get it back up on the Monday morning. So if you missed the last 15 minutes, it is up there now. I very much apologise. We were at the office and there was nothing we could do. However, it is up there now. Also, I want to say thank you to anybody that I met at the Wessex Magic Convention, anybody who came up to me, everyone say hi, everyone that said they enjoyed my lecture or they enjoyed Ryland's performance. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. I loved being there. It is one of my favourite Magic conventions and I always have a blast. With that in mind, I've got Sean Dunn calling me. So I'm going to see what he wants and then we'll carry on with the Q&A. Okay, so that was Sean Dunn calling about a new Penguin product that's coming out very, very soon that I think you guys will be super excited about. But I am switching off my messenger so that we don't get anybody else interrupting us. Because the most important thing right now for me is you lot. So now I am back with you. So yeah, I wanted to say thank you to anybody that joined me at the Wessex Magic Convention. Me and Ryland had an absolute ball. And once again, I was really blown away with Ryland's performance. If you were there, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And also thank you for everybody who's watched a video on this channel or has interacted with us at all. Again, I really appreciate it. Now, if you've never watched a Q&A before, the idea is very simple. All the questions that you've asked, I'm going to answer them. Here's the thing. I typically film these on a Tuesday. Today, it is Tuesday at 2:55. So if you want to guarantee to get your questions answered, make sure you get it into me by Monday night, Tuesday morning. If I miss your question, I apologize. Ask it down below right now and I'll get back to it the following week. And a lot of these questions, if I think it's a little bit too long to create to answer in a Q&A, I'll create a separate video for it at some point down the line. With that all being said, thank you so much for the questions. There are a bunch of questions on here and I'm going to try and answer them all. So let's get on with this week's Q&A. So the first question is from Adrian Suter, who says, "Hi Craig, thanks for your kind words on hobbyists and their important role in the Magic community. You're more than welcome. I absolutely 100% believe that. Can you recommend great tricks that are too impractical for a working professional because of reset time, for instance, but suitable for a hobbyist?" Now, this is an example of a topic that would be perfect for a video. So I'm going to reserve kind of too much commentary on this because I think this would be a great video and I'd want to do a bit more research into the subject. But ultimately, the thing that I would suggest that you do is go check out the Jerks. I think that a lot of, if you don't know, www.thejerks.com has, Andy the Jerks has some amazing content that he puts up on a very regular basis that is designed specifically for hobbyists and for people that maybe don't do this professionally. And a lot of his ideas you would never do as a pro, but it doesn't make them any less brilliant. I remember reading one a few years ago now, and I can't remember how far ago it was, but it was a while. And I actually made this up for one particular thing. It was a one and done thing, but the whole idea was it was designed when you were bringing somebody back to your house for the first time or back to your apartment for the first time. And you meet up with them in a bar first and then take them back to your house. And the idea is when you're with them, you draw a plan of your house and then you have them put different colors. You have them write different colors in each room in the house. And then you forget about it. And then when you take them back to your house, when they walk in, they realize that every room, the lights are on, and the lights are on in the color that they've picked and written down on this napkin. And it's all to do with, remote controlled lighting that you can control on your phone. It was a fantastic idea. Really, really great. I actually did that once and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a perfect example of something that would, you'd never do that as a pro. It's never a situation where you could do this, but it would have a massive impact on somebody. This is something that would really mess people up. So a lot of his content is very much like that and well worth looking at. I'm sure, Adrian, I'm sure you already read the Jerks. in which case you can go check out a lot of his content. Beyond that, there's probably a lot of literature where there's tricks that are just too impractical for a working pro that would be perfect for a hobbyist. But as I said, I'm going to put a video together on that. You've given me a fantastic idea for a video, so I'll get onto that as soon as possible. But thank you very much for the question. Okay, so the next question is from Different Magician, who says, what is your opinion for table hopping, doing two tricks with the same magic plot for the same table? For example, bottle through table and linking rings. They follow the same solid through solid plot, or any card and your new poker chip trick have the same plots. Is it okay to do both to the same table or for this, or should you try to vary it? I think that you can make anything work with correct routining. I think routining will fix anything. So you're talking about bottle through table and linking rings. There's a perfect example of something that would work really well. So in that perfect example, Matthew Garrett has a whole bunch of stuff with linking rings, and one thing that he's got is this thing called bar blade, which is a ring that penetrates through a bottle, amongst other things. That's one of the things that happens. Rings penetrates through a bottle. And so you could start with linking rings, and then from linking rings, you could take your finger off and go into the Ninja Plus stuff. And then from there, you could take a bottle and you could push the ring through the bottle and go through all of Matthew's range, basically. But from there, you could say, well, you know what? Maybe you think that somehow these rings are special, which they're not, but maybe you think they are. Or maybe you think this ring's solid, special, which it's not. But I'm sure we'd all agree that this table is solid, right? So if I could actually take this idea of penetrating through solid matter to the next level, and I could actually make something go through a solid table, well, surely that would be slightly more impressive, right? Okay, well, let's try and do that. And what you're doing is you're transitioning from one routine to the other. You've got the same premise, but you've made it okay to do that because you're adding impossibility onto it. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't think of. They learn one trick, and then they learn another trick, and they go, oh, that's very similar. It can't go together. Using any card in the poker chip thing, that's a perfect example. So you could say, you could start off by doing any card and go through the whole premise of any card. But before you did any card, before you put the deck down, you could bring out the poker chips and you could say, hey, I've got three poker chips here. Each one is worth £50. It's £150. If I get this wrong, I'll let you keep that £150. How's that sound for you? I'll let you keep that £150. We'll put those over there. We'll get back to them in a little bit. But first of all, let me explain the premise, and then you do the Richard Sanders any card, and so when you turn over the aces, you've got the name of the card on there, and you go, of course, you never had a chance to win the £150. You see, I knew which card you would pick before you even picked it. Let me prove that to you. Turn over the poker chips, and now the poker chips have got the card written on the other side as well. And it's almost like the poker chip thing is being used as a final kicker to the main routine. Which is a great way of doing it. And technically, it's the same reveal done twice, but because they're printed on a poker chip, it feels like it builds. It's the same premise that we used with the Ryland's America's Got Talent audition. The judges picked 4 drawings, and Ryland revealed that he knew what the drawings were with the envelopes that he gave out to the judges at the beginning. But then he points out that those 4 drawings spell out the word scam, and he shows that his friends on stage have scam written on the back of their t-shirts, and that he's graffitied scam all over the judge's table. So it's the same reveal, but each one becomes more impressive and each one becomes more impossible, right? So that's another way to approach the situation. So when you're thinking about routining sets together and you're thinking about routining tricks together, one thing that you need to think of is how you can actually go from this to this, right? What is this trick? What is this trick? How can I logically go from here to here? So rather than just presenting a series of disjointed tricks that have no potential relationship to each other at all, instead you've got this situation where you are you're building through to a big finale by having each phase link into the other. So hopefully that makes sense, but if you need more clarification, just let me know down below. Okay, so we've got another question from Different Magician, who says, This may sound like I'm being greedy. I'm not. I'm just interested. When selling an inquiry, how can I tempt people to book for 3 hours rather than 2 so that they get more money footage time? Okay, well, I mean, one way to do it is... there's a couple of different ways. The first way is to have... So you want to look into Ken Dine. Ken Dine has this thing called the Ninja pricing strategy, which is a great way of having 3 packages, in essence. Having 3 packages, and the way that you set the prices on the 3 packages basically forces people into the one that you want them to book, which is more desirable for you. I'm not going to go into the Ninja pricing strategy purely because it's not my strategy to share, but it's something that you really should look into. If you contact Ken Dine, he can go through that with you. But it's basically the concept of having multiple packages and structuring the prices and structuring those packages so one becomes more desirable than the others. The other thing that you can do is, if you really want people to have the 3 hours, is you can have a very small jump between hour 2 and hour 3. So, for example, you could say, hey, you know, an hour is, for example, £250. An hour of close-up magic is £250. 2 hours of close-up magic is £500. But 3 hours is only an extra £50 more. So it's £550. And they're probably going to think, well, I want them there for 2 hours. It's only £50 more to have the extra hour. Oh, let's just go for the extra hour, shall we? It's not that much more expensive. That's a strategy that's used by a lot of people all of the time. You see people using that. It's kind of like, oh, well, we may as well go with that because it's not that much more expensive, right? That's the option we should go for because it's not that much more expensive. You could even do it as an upsell. So you could have just an option for 2 hours and you give person a quote for 2 hours and then you quote them and they book in, and then you send them an email after they're booking and you go, hey, I've been looking at your booking and I can see how many people are there. And I can see there's a lot of people. I will get round everyone in 2 hours, but if you'd like me there for an extra hour so I can spend more time with each group, normally I would charge X amount for that extra hour, but because you've already booked, I'll do it for X amount for you. So you give them a discounted rate, which kind of makes them go, oh, well, yeah, it makes sense to have that extra hour. And you're also giving them a reason why they should have that extra hour. So that's something that you can kind of go down the route of as well. Yeah, any of those would work. Or you could just turn around to them and say, hey, I suggest 3 hours. Just suggest. If they come back to you and say, I want close-up magic, you go, well, okay, yeah, I can definitely do close-up magic. Let me give you a price for 3 hours. That's the price that most people go for, and give them a price for 3 hours. And if they go, that's too expensive, have a price for 2 hours. So you're pushing them towards the price that you want them to have from the very beginning. Any of that stuff would work really well. Okay, so the next question is from Dave Kayade, who says, hey, Craig, do you use flash paper? Yes, in fact, I'm actually doing a video at the moment on the best tricks with flash paper you've ever seen. In a flash, I've done for many, many years. One of my favourite flash paper tricks is Flash Coins Relit by Chad Long. I do that all the time. I do my own handling with a 3cm or sometimes a Nightshade coin set. But I do Flash Coins Relit all of the time. I love that trick. That's one of my favourite tricks to perform. I'm trying to think what else I do with flash paper. My friend Nemed, he uses flash paper to produce a coin at the beginning of his coin routine every single time. I think it was Michael J. Fitch who once said, any trick can be made 1,000 times better through the use of flash paper. There was a routine that I did for years, and I haven't done it for a while. And I should put it on the Netrix because it's really strong. Basically, you have a piece of flash paper and you say, hey, I'm going to show you the difference between making a prediction and real magic. And what you do is you say, look, I'm going to make a prediction. You give someone a deck of cards to shuffle. You say, hey, I'm going to make a prediction. So you write on a piece of flash paper the name of a card. And you put that down, you ball it up and you put it down on the table. You say, that's my prediction. You then take the deck back and whatever card you wrote there, you cull it to the top. So as you show the deck, you cull it to the top and you say, right, you've shuffled these. Can you pick a card? And you classic force or riffle for somebody the card that you wrote down. And you say, can you pick a card for me? Great, sign it, put it back in the deck and shuffle the cards. Can you do that for me? And you palm off the card as you give it them to shuffle. So you've got their card there. Now I do a one-handed card fold and I say, brilliant. Now, here's the thing. You could have picked any card. I gave you a piece of paper from the very beginning. I wrote down a card on there before you even picked a card. What was the name of the card? 7 of diamonds. What card did you pick? 7 of diamonds. You see, that's making a prediction. But I said I'd show you real magic. You shuffled that card into the pack, all right? Pass me that piece of paper. Now you've got their card folded up, finger palmed here. And you go, watch, if I take this lighter and I light the lighter, now it turns into an actual card. Not just any card, but your signed card. And that's a really nice, super commercial routine. That's a great use of flash paper as well. I did that for years. Love that routine. Jay Sankey's got some great stuff with flash paper as well, which you can probably get from the Definitive Sankey. One of the things that I would suggest that's really good is he's got this concept of creating a duplicate signature. So what he does is it's for example, and I've got some work on this as well, based off Sankey's original idea, but Sankey's original idea is, let's say you've got a duplicate, let's say you've got 2 of hearts. So what you'd do is you'd have the 2 of hearts on top of the deck, you'd force the top of the deck, do a double turnover, have them sign the card. And you go, oh no, I'm meant to have you sign it on the back. Hang on. And you turn the double over, and you take out a piece of tissue paper, which you've drawn on. So you've got some smudges, but they can't see that. You bring out from your pocket some tissue paper, and you just rub their card. You take the top card of the deck off, and you rub their signature off. And now you can see that their signature, it looks like you've rubbed the ink off, and now there's no signature on the card anymore. It looks like you've rubbed it off, right? And you put the tissue paper down there, and you go, actually, let me show you something really cool. And you get them to hold their hand out, and you do a top change. So now you're changing this for the card with their signature on. You get them to hold it in their hand, and you take their signature, well, the piece of tissue paper, you light it, and you throw it towards their hand, and it goes, and when they turn over the card in their hand, the signature's back on the card, which is a really cool use of flash paper as well. As I say, I'm doing a video on the best uses of flash paper, but there's a few examples for you. But yes, to answer your question, I do an awful lot with flash paper. Okay, so the next question is from Yuri, who says, hi Craig, I thought I'd let you know that because of your videos and the advice you give people, I've recently had my first meeting with a client who'd like to hire me as a magician for one of his events. Yuri, that is amazing. I am so happy for you, buddy. That's fantastic. I never thought I'd get this far, and I couldn't have done any of this without all the advice you give each and every week. Thank you so much for the great stuff you do and make. Thank you for telling me this. That's what makes this all worthwhile, genuinely. I consider myself to be a card magician mostly, but I also know that you don't really perform card tricks as openers. Do you, however, maybe have some exceptions? I ask this because aside from Rubik's Cube, Magic and Mentalism, I don't have a whole bunch of good opening tricks. Okay. Okay. Do you have some exceptions? You can do card tricks as an opener. Absolutely, you can do card tricks as an opener. I just tend not to an awful lot of the time, but there's no reason to not do card tricks as an opener, as long as they are look, I've talked about openers before. They've got to be quick, they've got to be visual, they've got to grab people's attention. So pulling out a deck of cards and going, hey, pick a card, isn't the best opener. Let me give you a few good openers. So have a deck of cards in your inside pocket and have it as an invisible deck. This is a great opener for an invisible deck. You have an invisible deck there and you go, I'm going to show you something with, instead of a deck of cards, let's use an invisible deck of cards. And what you do is you take the invisible deck and you drop it down your sleeve and you take out an invisible deck. So you've got a real invisible deck there and a fake invisible deck here. So you throw them in the invisible deck and you say, here, look, I want you to spread through the deck, take out one card, turn it over, put it in the deck. So it's a very quick version of the invisible deck. Take one card, turn it over, put it back in the deck, put it back in the box. Now, as they're doing that, you drop your hand to your side and the card box drops into your hand and you go, great, throw me the deck. And then when they throw at you, it becomes visible. That's an example of establishing credibility very, very quickly. But you don't want to elongate the choice of the card. It's just very much a case of, hey, I've got an invisible deck here. Can you do me a favor? Quickly take this deck of cards, take them out of the box, take any card, remember the card, turn it over, put them back in the box. Have you done that? Throw the box at me. Boom. Hey, wasn't that weird? Did you see that? That was weird, right? What was the name of your card? 7 of diamonds. Boom. One card turned over, 7 of diamonds. If you can't drop it down your pocket, or you're not wearing pockets, and you're wearing a shirt, or you're wearing a jacket, as you take out your invisible deck, have I got a deck of cards here? I haven't, weirdly. As you go to take out your invisible deck, take the deck of cards and hold it here with your hand. So the deck of cards is right here. So you're holding it here. You're holding your hand. You can say here. You don't even have to do it as an invisible deck. You can say, look, I've got this deck of cards here. Can you see it? And you do that. Now, that's a little bit like Mark Sitcher. So Mark Sitcher, who was an incredible magician, passed away very early on in life. He did something called the dental act, and he did this with bottles of Listerine, but he talked in the lecture about how you could actually do it with packs of cards. And he had, and basically the whole concept was, you had this in your pocket, so you go in for this invisible deck, and as you do, you put the cards here. So you show this deck and you go forward and you produce it, which looks just really, really cool. So you could do a production like that, or any sort of quick production. Look at Sudden Deck by David Regal. That's a perfect example of something that would make a great opener. Look at Empty, which is that routine that Cosmo put out ages ago by Marcus Eddy, which is great, where you show the box empty and then the deck of cards appears. Anything like that makes a really good opener. What you don't want to do is do a 19-phase ambitious card routine. You know, like a really quick color changing deck, like having a flap card on top of the deck. Modern Times is a perfect example by Henry Evans. Yeah, Henry Evans. So you bring out a deck of cards and you say, look, I've got a card box here. Boom, card box vanishes, goes in your pocket. And you go, look, it's a blue card box, it's a blue deck, but now the deck turns red. You know, stuff like that really kind of establishes a credibility right from the very beginning. One of my favorite openers I've ever seen anyone do is Greg Wilson. And it was on Card Stunts from years ago, where he had a deck of cards and he bought the deck of cards out and started shuffling them. And then the cards went back inside the box. He took the cards out of the box, put the cards away, and now the deck of cards appears back around it again. And then he puts the box away, and now the deck of cards appears back around it. And the deck of cards appears back in the box like 3 times, and then the deck vanishes. One of the gimmicks that Greg used in that, Henry Evans used in Tribute to Vroni, which is another really great way of actually having an opener. Tribute to Vroni is great. Basically, you have a deck of cards, and you take the card box out, and it shrinks. You give them the card box, they pick a card. When they pick a card, it vanishes, and it's folded up inside the mini card box. Anything like that works really well as an opener. Like I say, what you don't want to do is just bring a deck of cards out and just pick a card, because people are going to assume that they've seen it. Try to do something that's a little bit different, that establishes yourself as more than just the boring magician that just does card tricks when they get them to pick a card. That's what I would suggest if you want to go down the card trick route. But you can do card tricks as openers. I'll give you one more. Gary Jones had a great one from years ago that would work in restaurants, not really anywhere else. But you walk over with a notepad and you go, hey, my name's Craig. Nice to meet you. Can I take your order? Oh, actually, before the order, let's do a card trick. And he takes the notepad that people are using to write down the orders, and they think you're a waiter, and then boom, turns into a deck of cards. That one's really good. Really, really good. And another great one that I actually put on the Netrix, you can go and check it out if you're a Netrix customer, is Impromptu Bank Night. I use that as an opener all of the time. So I bring out 5 cards, and I say, hey, I'm going to give you a chance to win 5 prizes. I'm going to give you a chance to win a prize. Each one of these cards has got a genuine prize on. You can have any one you want to. I'll spread them out. Look, 5 cards. They pick one, and you go, well, let's look at what you could have won. You could have won £1 million. You could have won a trip to the Caribbean. You could have won a new flat screen TV, but you've won 1 free card trick before dinner. Amazing. Well, luckily, I'm a magician, so I can do the card trick. It's a great opener, right? So think about it that way. That's probably the best piece of advice I can give you. And also, congratulations, dude. Seriously, Yuri, well done on landing that gig. Logan Serrani has commented below Yuri's post and said, a great opener I do. It was Pro Light 3. Basically, I made my own version of taking the flashlight off my phone and throwing it back on. It's a fun trick, even if you know how it's done. Another thing I do is keep squares of flash paper in my wallet. Not really a trick, but it's still cool. Yeah, messing around with a Pro Light 3 is awesome. I love Pro Light 3s. Ryland uses them in his Harry Potter act, and they always get a great reaction. Look up G's light bulb routine. That's a great routine to do. Okay, so the next question is from Mystery Man 000, who says, how do you ask a spectator to borrow their credit card for a trick without them being worried that everyone can see their numbers on it, or that it would be some sort of scam? I'm sure I couldn't open with a credit card trick. The sort of places that I perform at, a lot of the time, it's corporate events, it's weddings. I'm obviously there as the magician. I'm not just some random guy walking up to people in the streets. So yeah, absolutely. If I was walking up to people in the streets and I was like, hey, give me your credit card, that wouldn't work out too well, right? But when I'm obviously the magician, I've never had a problem. In fact, like I said a couple of weeks ago, I've got a routine that I use that I open with a lot of the time, and I have been doing since I've been working this in last year, where you borrow a credit card, they hold on to the credit card, and you vanish it right in front of their eyes, and then you kind of print the credit card back. It looks just insane. It looks so good. I can't wait for people to see that. It's an Alakazam thing. So I don't have a problem with borrowing credit cards, but I think the big piece of advice I can give you is establish credibility. If you're at a gig and you're obviously the magician, it's not a problem. But establish credibility first. Don't open with a credit card trick. Open with something else. Open with, we talked about earlier on this Q&A about routining, right? Open with something with your own credit card. There's tons of credit card magic out there where you use a special credit card. Use your own credit card. Hey, let me show you something with my credit card. And you do whatever it is that you're going to do, and you go, now, here's the thing. I want to take this to the next level. I want to show you something even more amazing, but not using my credit card, using your credit card. Let me show you something with your credit card. Can you pass it to me, please? And boom, you're into it, right? So there's lots of different ways you can go with this, but yeah, I understand your concern, but unless you're kind of doing like hit and run style street magic, it's not really too much of an issue. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician again, who says, how do you get motivated when practicing levitations? Normally, I don't get discouraged when tricks are hard. I have fun practicing, but with levitations, I get demotivated when the thread breaks because I say it's more trouble than it's worth if I have to keep paying for more thread. Obviously, this isn't a good way to think, so do you have any advice to change this thinking? Look, I don't really do much with thread. I do some stuff with loops, and I do stuff with gravity occasionally, but I'm not a thread guy. Ryland, I know you know Ryland really well, and you go to the YMC with Ryland. You should speak to him about this because he uses thread all of the time. We've just come back from the Wessex Magic Convention, where Ryland was doing his show, and he did like 35 minutes. And I was amazed to see how much stuff is using thread. Like the first routine he did was the floating linking rings, which uses thread throughout. In his Harry Potter act, he was doing the dancing silk as part of that. He was also doing the dancing broomstick. All of this uses thread. And yeah, all of it uses thread. And you know, I've watched Ryland rehearse. Every time he does a performance on stage, he'll spend hours practicing the night before any of the thread stuff, and I see the thread snapping, and then he just sits there and he just rethreads it, and it would drive me up the wall, Divishan, to be perfectly honest. But I think that's just something you have to accept. You just have to accept that if you want to, I know you've talked about thread a lot, so I know you probably like the idea of having things float. And if you do like the idea of having things float, I think you just need to accept that occasionally thread is going to snap. That's the whole point with thread. It's going to snap. And the more you practice something, the less it's likely to snap. So when he first started doing the floating linking rings, they snapped an awful lot in rehearsals. Now I haven't seen him snap the thread on the rings. I see him perform all the time. I haven't seen it for a very long time. I think the last time was at the Magic Circle at the Young Magicians Club. So, you know, I think it's just practice. I think as you practice with thread, as you get better with thread, and as you start doing more with thread, you kind of get used to it, and it's less likely that it's going to snap. Okay, so the next question is from Droid X, who says, Penguin Magic asked a survey about Magic Creator of the Year, and I voted for you, Craig. Great work you've been doing. Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. I am up for Creator of the Year at Penguin Magic this year, and I really would like everybody to vote for me. I would love to be Creator of the Year. I'm up against some real competition, but if you've enjoyed any of my tricks, if you've enjoyed any of my content, if you enjoyed anything that I've ever brought to the table ever, and you would like to vote for me, I would be eternally grateful, and it would mean the world to me. Thank you very much for voting, and if anybody else wants to do so, that would be amazeballs. Okay, so the next question is from Steedman99, who says, why do you have to reverse the order of certain decks when you get them, e.g. Evoke? I'm sure there's a logical reason why they don't just come the correct way to begin with. I was wondering if you knew why this is done. Thanks. I'm not 100% too sure, to be honest. It happened with Evoke. It also happened with Ticket to Ride from Alakazam. And Mind Blocks, obviously, can be set up as a Svengali deck. And when that gets delivered to people, it's set up in Svengali deck order, which is fine if you want to do one of the Svengali deck routines, but the first routine I teach is non-Svengali deck. So, you know, I don't know. I'd rather have that than have problems with the cards and have cards that aren't there or cards that are misprinted or I don't know, whatever it may be. But I understand where you're coming from. I totally get where you're coming from. It's a minor issue. It's a minor irritation, isn't it? You know, right? First, but luckily, every time I've seen that happen, it's normally addressed on the tutorial. Right, first thing you need to do is reverse the cards. It's probably something to do with the way that they're being sent to the USPCC or wherever they're being printed from. I imagine that's got something to do with it, but I'm not 1,000,000% sure. I'm not 1,000,000% sure, to be perfectly honest, but I think that's probably something to do with it. But yeah, there you go. I've got nothing else to say about that. There probably is a logical reason, but I don't really know what it is. Sorry. I don't get involved much with the actual printing of the cards. I just get involved with the creation of them and liaising with people like Phil Smith. So I can't really give you much more on that other than yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help. Okay, so the next question is from user KW60SQ. I'm sure I've answered this. Which is better, Envylope 2.0 and Penguin Magic, or Vanish and Illusionist? Thanks. I'm sure I've answered this, but I'm sure I answered it last week. Maybe it was part of the bit that was cut off. Vanish is great. I love Justin Miller. I think that Vanish is an incredible vanishing deck, and I was proud to be on the project. Envylope 2.0 is amazing, but it's not a Vanish. It's really a transposition between an envelope and a deck. Don't think of it as a Vanish because it's not. The deck of cards vanishes. The deck of cards changes into an envelope that was shown in your pocket from the beginning, and then the deck's in your pocket. So it's not like a deck vanishing. It's a transposition. There's more routines on Vanish than there are on Envylope. Envylope 2.0 really has that one routine. It does that routine bloody amazingly, but it is only one routine. Vanish has more routines. I think that they're both great, and I have performed and continue to perform both of them. When I watch Nick especially perform Envylope 2.0, I think he does that brilliantly. Every time I watch him dem it on the booth, I'm like, this is the best trick ever. But then I see Justin Miller perform Vanish, and I'm like, nope, Vanish is the best trick ever. I think if you like the effect, you're not going to be disappointed because they're both great. Okay, so the next question is from Archie Cox Magic. Hey Archie, who says, hey Craig, thanks for the advice on the Parlour show. That's really helped me improve the show. You are more than welcome. That's what this Q&A is intended for. Right, so question, would fibre optics be a good first rope trick? Yeah, I mean, what Richard Sanders did, and by the way, if you're going to get fibre optics, I get fibre optics extended. Get the follow-up one because there's more moves, more routines. He teaches hypering on there, which is like his version of Dave Williamson's Ring on Rope. But yeah, I mean, fibre optics is a great way to learn rope magic because you're going to learn the basics of rope magic, and you're going to learn a lot of different moves that you can apply in different directions. I would also recommend Daryl's acrobatic knot. The acrobatic knot is very simple. It's one routine, but it's a very, very simple routine. It's going to teach you a couple of false knots. It's going to teach you a couple of things that you can actually do, but it's a lot easier. It's a more instant gratification. You'll learn it very, very quickly and be able to perform it. And it's a great routine to do walk around, to do stage, to do close up, to do parlour. And it's got a great impact on people as well. I love acrobatic knot. I really do. So yeah, that's one that I would suggest. But fibre optics is also really good. And the nice thing about fibre optics is you can take it step by step. So you can learn just the Professor's Nightmare section, do that. Excuse me. Then do the, like the custom restored section, do that. Then move on to the next section, so on and so forth. So yeah, I would highly recommend. Ryland does fibre optics really well. He does it in his show. So I would recommend watching. I know you know Ryland, so maybe get with Ryland and the next YMC. I know he does do fibre optics really well, so that might be worthwhile looking into that as well, because he actually performs it in his stage show. But yeah, fibre optics is great. My 3 favourite rope tricks are fibre optics. Well, my 4 favourite rope tricks are fibre optics, the walking knot, or climax. Both are great. Acrobatic knot. I had the other one in the tip of my head. What was it? I can't remember. Oh my gosh, my mind has gone blank. I'm getting old. This isn't what I was going to say, but Michael J. Fitch has got a great version of the walking knot just using a regular rope. Oh, The Awakening. That's it, The Awakening. The Awakening is absolutely brilliant. I would recommend The Awakening to anybody. Okay, so the next question is again by Archie Cox Magic, who says, I have a few card prediction effects, Invisible Deck, Zoltar's Opener, and I would like to get any card by Richard Sanders. Would it be a good idea to have one for walk around, one for table, and one for stage, rather than using them all for the same purpose, as the effect is basically the same? Yes, although you can frame them differently if you want to. I wouldn't use them in the same set, but you could use them in the same set if you wanted to. Zoltar's Opener is really just kind of a one and done thing, isn't it? It's kind of really a one and done in that it looks like it's obviously a deck of cards that's designed to do that one particular routine. So you bring it out, you do the trick, you put it away, right? Invisible Deck, you can very easily transition into another routine. So you could, for example, open with Invisible Deck, do something else, and close with any card just through the use of clever routining. So for example, you could have any card there, you could have a regular deck here, and walk up to the table with the Invisible Deck, do an Invisible Deck routine, so the one card's turned over, and you go, thanks very much. Actually, we're going to need a pen for this. Has anyone got a pen? Hands go into the pockets, you switch the Invisible Deck for the regular matching deck, and your hands come out, and you go, actually, I've got one here. Can you hold on to that? And can you shuffle the cards? So now you've done the Invisible Deck, but now they're shuffling the cards. They think it's a regular deck, blah, 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 so on and so forth. You get them to pick a card. You do a routine with a signed card, maybe a 47-phase ambitious card routine. Keep it nice and simple. After that, the card's gone into the wallet. So now you focus the attention on the wallet. While the attention's focused on the wallet, you have them, you switch that, you put the cards back in the box because the focus is on the wallet. And as you put the pen away, you switch the deck. So now you've got the any card deck out and you put that down there. And you go, I tell you what, I'm going to do one last thing with that deck of cards. I've made, do you remember at the very beginning, you named a card and it turned over? Instead of your card turning over in the deck this time, I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to make all 4 cards of the same value turn over. How amazing would that be? Brilliant. Name a value, and they say 6, and you go, brilliant. Actually, I'll go one step further. Name a suit. Clubs. 6 of clubs. Are you sure you want the 6 of clubs? Yes. Watch this. And you snap. And you spread through and you show that now that the 4 aces have turned over. So you go, oh, I've messed it up. I was trying to get all the 6s to turn over. It's all of the aces. Oh, gosh. But you said a club, right? 6 of clubs. And then you turn the cards over and it says the 6 of clubs. So it's kind of like you've... So certain gimmick decks can be switched in and out through clever routining, and you can use them in the same set. Others are a one and done. As I say, Zoltar's Opener is very much a one and done. You can only use it for that one trick. And the reason I kind of demonstrated that Invisible Deck, ambitious card, any card type routine is because just because they're prediction routines doesn't mean you can't do them at the same thing. From the audience's point of view, you've had a card turn over in the deck, and you've made 4 cards turn over. It's a different thing. It's a totally different thing. So I wouldn't worry about it. I'd think about it's up to you. You can have one for stage, one for close up, one for mix and mingle. You can do whatever you want to, but challenge yourself. Think about how you can actually routine these together and how you can create a routine between them. That's, from a creativity point of view, that's something that's absolutely worth doing. Okay, so the next question is from Ian Walton. Hey, Ian, who says, "Hi, Craig. Through a profuse amount of chastity, theft, and declaration of family duties, I finally managed to afford and procured the Nightshade coin project. I have the Mirage set, I have the Apparition dollar set, and I've ordered the $half Nightshade set. I know that all 3 of them do different things, but know that soon you'll be adding bonus video links to all 3 sets. I am assuming having 2 as $half and Apparition as $1 could be a disadvantage. Would you suggest me selling my Apparition dollar set and repurchasing in the $half, or do you not see it as an issue? Further to this, I believe a nut smudging service when purchasing from Alakazam would be a good idea, and maybe that's just me. I think that's a great idea. Look, here's the thing. They're all standalone coin sets, right? So the Nightshade coin set has a bazillion hours of content. The Mirage set has a bazillion hours of content. Apparition has a ton of content as well. So it's not like it's like, oh my God, I got this one in this side and this one in this side. Bugger. All 3 of them have totally different tricks. My point is, and I will be doing a video for Alakazam at some point very, very soon, you can link all of them together and create routines that bring the different sets together. Obviously, those routines involve the coins being of the same size. So having Apparition in a different coin size, excuse me, to the other 2 might be a bit of a disadvantage. Only if the routines that involve combining Apparition with another coin set is something that you want to learn, which you might not want to. You might, when I actually eventually do this academy, and I don't like to rush these things because I don't want to just give you guys crap content. I want to actually give you the stuff that's really good. But when I actually do this academy, you might go, well, all of the tricks that involved Apparition being worked with Mirage and Nightshade, I don't think I could see myself performing those. In which case, no, you don't want to sell your set. You don't want to go and sell another set. You might go, oh, that routine that combined Mirage and Nightshade, that was amazing. Yes, I'm definitely going to do that. Now, you might see something with Apparition and you go, oh my God, that's the best trick ever. I would sell my soul to be able to perform that trick, in which case you might need to look into that sort of thing. But there's no point in going down that route until you've seen the Academy. And if it's free to anyone that's got even one of my coin sets, then you are going to get to see it for free. Then you can decide whether or not you want to actually upgrade, downgrade, side grade, or do whatever the hell you want to do with your coin set. That's the route I'd go. And it's going to happen soon, probably the end of April, but I'm currently still putting all these routines together, so it's not happening immediately. It's going to be within the next month or so. So I would say don't worry about anything right now. Watch the Academy and then decide. Oh, and congratulations on getting Nightshade. It's amazing. Okay, so the next question is from 1581 Davis. Hey buddy, how you doing? I hope you're well. Thank you, Craig, for all you do to the community. I was inspired by you to do my first paid gig at the tender age of 66 years and 7 months and 9 days. I assume I'm the oldest first-time professional magician. That is amazing. Congratulations. That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And I want you to leave me a comment down below and let me know how the gig went, what routines you did, and when's your next professional gig. Age is just a number, my friend. Now for the question, the 10-card poker deal done with Evoke. Can you recommend another poker deal that is similar, please? I only ever use the 10-card poker deal that Paul Gordon does. You've got the other one on there, which isn't a poker deal, but it kind of has the similar sort of feel. The proximity principle is on the Evoke tutorial as well. You might want to look into the proximity principle. But in terms of poker deals, to be honest, I was never a big fan of poker deals. It's just not something I ever really it didn't float my boat. I'm not really into gambling routines, so poker demonstrations didn't really appeal to me. Excuse me. It was only after sitting down with Peter Nardi, the legend himself, Mr. Peter Nardi, and seeing what he'd developed with evoke that made me realise, no, I should be doing a poker deal because this is bloody amazing and it's got nothing to do with poker. And then I sat down with another legend, Chris Congreve, who showed me Cloak and made me realise that, I'm an idiot for not doing poker deals. But my knowledge of poker deals is very limited, to be perfectly honest. So I can't really help you with that. I'm so sorry. I'm sure somebody can. If you can help, leave a comment down below. Okay, so next question again from 1581 Davis, who says, I have Dave Forrest Yin Yang poker chips. Could you recommend a copper silver routine that would work well with the Yin Yang, please? Yes, Ryland uses Yin Yang, and he actually does the purple and green coin routine from the Netrix. The purple and green coin routine from the Netrix is the perfect routine to use for the Yin Yang poker chip set. So you might want to look into that. Now, if you want to see a lot of my work on copper silver, I'm going to say 2 words for you, and in the next 4 weeks this will all make sense, but I can't say anything else right now. Level Up. Look for a product called Level Up with my name on it. When you see Level Up, you're going to see some of the most insane stuff that you've ever seen, using many principles, one of which is copper silver. Almost all of those routines you could, not all of them, but a lot of the routines you could transpose over to the Yin Yang poker chips. But while you're waiting, go onto the Netrix. That's the only place that the purple and green coin routine is. If you want to learn it, it's the purple and green coin routine for the Netrix. That is perfect to use with the Yin Yang poker chips, and that's what Ryland actually uses in close-up. Okay, so the next question is Reese Whitehead, who says, hi Craig, do you come up with the name? How do you come up with your names for all of your tricks? And can it be more stressful than coming up with the tricks itself? I suck at naming tricks. I suck at naming tricks. Look at some of the tricks on the Netrix where I'm being forced to come up with names. Like, we've just put out a trick on the Netrix that's going up tomorrow, and it's the blooming Jack in the Great Glass Elevator. And there's another one, like the Inexhaustible Sandwich or something. Like, I'm just rubbish at naming tricks. So any products, if I'm working with Murphy's, it falls squarely on the shoulders of Lloyd Barnes. If I'm working with Penguin, it normally falls onto the shoulders of Sean or Mandy. If I'm working with Alakazam, it's Harry and Pete. I am terrible at naming tricks. I don't think I've ever named one of my own tricks ever, because other people can do such a much better job. So it's not stressful coming up with the names, because my solution is, hey guys, here's the trick, give it a name. And they come up with a great name. Next question is from Ian Campbell, who says, thanks for the advice, Craig. Bought Parlour and I look forward to working through it. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Man, you'll love Parlour. It was me with hair and thinner and doing really great magic. You'll love it. So yeah, let me know what you think of Parlour. But thank you very much for picking it up. Okay, so the next question is from Christopher Cram, who says, hi Craig, I'm working a new restaurant gig and I'm looking for a ring flight prop that would be good for it. I have looked at ProFlight and found in the reviews it's not the same as the original. It's pretty bad as a prop, as a different company has been making them. I've also looked at Fly, but I don't need the mentalism part of it. I'm looking at Departure or Flying Ring by Gate and Blue and a Masika Ring Flight releasing next month. What ring flight do you recommend? I haven't seen the Masika one. Gate and Blooms is really good, but obviously there's a little bit more to it than that now. I would recommend, look, the best, absolute best ring flight that you can buy is Dave Bonsal's ring flight from Prop Dog. He's got a whole bunch of different versions. Let me go on the internet and find out what they are. I bet Prop Dog ring flight. There we go. I think he's got like a, Ring Flight Revolution by Prop Dog. There are so many different versions of it, which are just insane. So he's got a BMW version. He's got a lot of the Ring Flight Revolutions are over £100, like £100, and he's got them for different cars. So he's got like a Ford, a Mini, and they're all about £109, £110. But then earlier this year, he brought out an Ring Flight Evolution, which is £60. Pretty much identical to the Ring Flight Revolution, but instead of using an expensive car fob, we're using a much cheaper garage remote control key, wanted to create a cheaper version for our customers that wanted the Ring Flight Revolution but couldn't afford it. So the Evolution was born. To keep costs down, we don't supply the extra clips, blah, 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 blah. So look, you can get the Evolution version or you can get the Revolution version. Both of them are incredible. All right. So I would seriously, Prop Dog is the place to go when it comes to ring flights. I wouldn't really recommend anything else. Okay, the next question is from B. Wexman, who says, being a wrestling and a Brad Williams fan, have you ever looked into the Chris Jericho cruise? Brad is a guest every year along with tons of AEW wrestlers and legends of wrestling. I have actually. I've looked into it many times and I'm always working. It's on my bucket list. I want to go on a Chris Jericho cruise. I think I'd have an amazing time. I just don't think I'd have to go on my own. I'd have to be Billy No Mates. None of my family like wrestling. None of my friends like wrestling. I'm basically a hermit that lives on my own watching sweaty men grapple. So, you know, it's not even Ryland. Ryland just pities me sometimes and will sit there for 5 minutes watching it, but then goes off and learns a card trick or something. But no, well, not a card trick. But no, I don't. I would like to go, but I would have to go on my own. The one time that I managed to get Sarah to come to a live wrestling event was WWE. It was for my birthday. That's how I managed to convince her. It was before Ryland was even born. And it was amazing. I remember DX were main eventing. It was a house show in the UK. Main event was DX. It was just amazing. That's how long ago it was, DX. And Sarah fell asleep through the entire thing. My family suck. Okay, so the next question is 1581 Davis, who says, question 3, could you recommend a good quality Fire wallet, please? I can't recommend a specific one because I don't use a Fire wallet anymore, but I would always recommend the electronic versions are better than the ones where you have to use a flint, because I think that flint action, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and I think it looks a bit obvious. When you press a button, it just looks so much better. So Ryland's Harry Potter act, he does this particular part of the routine where he's making candles go on and he's reading a magic book and the candles are coming on and then the book sets on fire. And we originally, when we put the routine together, we got him a normal fire book with a flint, and he wasn't able to do it every single time. And then we got him an electronic fire book where he just presses a button and a heating element lights it up, and it looks so much better. I would always recommend an electronic fire wallet or fire book over a normal one with a flint. Okay, so the next question is from Yin Hao Magic, who says, hello, Craig. Hello. Thanks for doing these Q&A videos. Very interesting insights. You're more than welcome. I'm curious as to why you release your products with so many different producers as opposed to releasing everything, say, through Murphy's with a wider distribution. Just because I like working with different people. Look, I don't think it's good for even if Murphy's, for example, I say Murphy's because you suggested Murphy's there. I think even if Murphy's said, hey, we want you to do every single trick through us, I don't think they would. There's so many other routines that are coming through Murphy's. They'll be releasing a Craig Petty trick every 2 weeks. Nobody wants that. I think that and there's different companies that have different, there's certain tricks that feel like, what I'm trying to say here, Mind Blocks feels like a penguin trick. It's fun. It's colourful. It's Lego. It feels like a penguin trick, and that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Gossip felt like an Alakazam trick. Trivia felt like an Alakazam trick. I personally think that Alakazam are the leading brand in coins now since setting up the Elite coin range. You know, the Nightshade coin set felt like an Alakazam trick. There's certain tricks that feel like an Alakazam trick. There's others that feel... And also, you know, like, there's certain... Like, there's different companies have different processes behind the scenes, and there's a lot of factors to consider. And also, I don't create magic for any other reason that I love working with these various different production companies, and I have fun working with these other production companies, and I wouldn't want to just tie myself to one. Yeah, I wouldn't. You know, as much as I'm a Murphy's guy, I'm also a Penguin guy. I'm also an Alakazam guy. I'm, you know, I really work with companies that I respect. I had a good time working with Vanishing Ink. I did the masterclass with Vanishing Ink, and I had a really good time working with Vanishing Ink. They were fun. They were super fun to work with. I'd happily work with Vanishing Ink again. It's just nothing's come up that really fits it. But yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. And one day I think I'm going to do a video where I'm comparing all of the various different companies. But you got to remember, back in the day when I first came onto the Magic scene, before I left and came back, I put everything out through World Magic Shop, and it was just not a great experience all the time. You know, it was like that was the only company that I released stuff with. I like having the flexibility of working with different companies and, you know, having different conversations. I'll have a conversation with Pete about something we're working on, and I'll have a conversation with Sean Dunn about something that we're working on, and it's kind of fun that way. I enjoy doing it. I create and release magic because I enjoy it, and it's a fun process. And part of working with all these different companies is the fact that it makes it more fun for me. Next question is from Dex Rich, who says, "Hi, Craig. Great to say hello at the Wessex Magic Convention. My daughter was raving about Ryland's Harry Potter act all the way home." Thank you so much. I remember speaking to you, and I really appreciate it. I really do. On behalf of Ryland, thank you very much. I'm very proud of him, and I thought his performance at Wessex was brilliant. Quick question I meant to ask you. At Blackpool, you were previewing a new poker chip trick, which was amazing. Just wondered when you were likely to release it. Thanks, Richard. Well, I'm heading over to Sacramento very, very soon, and I'm going to be filming a couple of projects over there, and that is going to be one of the projects. As far as I'm aware, they are in the warehouse at Murphy's, and that's why they want to get me over there quick to film this thing. So it's I would say, soonish, not a million miles away. It's going to happen at some, I'd say definitely this year. If I was optimistic, I'd say probably this summer, if not before. But you know, it's on me now. I need to go over there and film the whole thing. So sooner rather than later is what I would say. Okay, so the next question is from the Magic of Seth, who says, I've been working on more... That's weird. The best of Google. What's going on? That scared me. Sorry. That was my scared voice there. So hopefully you appreciated that. Let's try that again. So that was from the Magic of Seth. I've been working on more coin magic, and the best time for me to practice uninterrupted is when everyone's asleep. I don't have carpeted floor, and whenever I drop the coin on the floor, it's so loud. Any advice on how to make things quieter? Tried not being shit, but no such luck. Get some cushions. That's what I did. Get some cushions and shove them all over the floor. Where you're practicing. Just get a load of cushions, or get a table and put a close-up pad on the table, so if they fall onto the close-up pad. But yeah, I mean, cushions, some blankets folded up, a dog bed. Take some clothes that are dirty that you need to wash and just shove them on the floor. Anything to deaden that noise is probably the best thing that I would say, because I agree, dropping a coin is a nightmare. And when you're learning new coin moves, you are going to drop them an awful lot. That's probably the best way that I'd deal with it. And also, congratulations on getting into coin magic. Welcome to the dark side. Okay, so the next question is from Andy Putt, who says, "Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you read this, Craig. I sent you a message on Messenger. Can you look at it?" I'll go look at it as soon as I've finished this Q&A. You're actually the last question, although you've got 3 questions. So let's get to them one at a time. Number 1, you review a lot of magic. Yes, I do. Can you tell me what the better trick is between Joshua J and his Trojan deck, and Thomas Badar and his Jupiter, and why? I really like the plot of matching decks in the Spectator and Magician's Hand, so I'm collecting information on what suits me better. I haven't properly looked at Jupiter yet. I do have it, but I haven't looked at it yet. What I would say is Joshua J and his Trojan deck, I did a review of it. It's okay, it's not bad, but it is very, very labor intensive. And it's not the sort of thing that's practical for a lot of people, because it requires carrying decks of cards around. There's a lot to it. I don't want to say what the method is. I don't even want to allude to the method, but there's a lot to it. It's very impractical. I learned it to review it. I will never perform it again. I couldn't even tell you how to do it right now, because the second I finished the performance, it went out of my brain. It's just a little bit impractical. Jupiter feels more practical, but I can't give you a total answer as to whether it is or not, because I haven't watched it yet, despite having it. I do, however, know that I've seen Thomas do it many, many times. I saw him do it at the session. I saw him do it in the London Magic Convention. Saw him do it at Blackpool. And it looks more practical, because every time he's shown it me, he's just been sitting around a table in a cafe and he's done it. So it seems more practical. But I can't give you a total review on it until I've actually watched it. But what I would say is that the Trojan deck really, unless you have the ability to like perform in a parlour situation or a formal close-up situation, it's not really the sort of thing that's going to work for everybody. Okay, so the next question is, again, from Andy Put Magic, who says, you said a while ago that Magic downloads as a product are dying, and with everything going on stream, like Netrix, RSVP, and Alakazam Unlimited, what do you think is the best step to take if you have a trick where a product is a download? Going to a streaming service or publishing it through Penguin or Theory 11? They're dying, but they're not died out. I mean, you look at, there's new download, a coin in bottle from Penguin, which has come out recently, and it has done massive numbers. It's been in the top 10 of Penguin now for about the best part of like 3 months. So if it's the right trick, it's still going to do well. And the Penguin Partner Program still has incredible routines going up there all the time from people like Joe Reinfleisch, and the list goes on and on and on. So I would say that, you know, if you've got a trick and it's a download, go to somewhere where downloads do really well. Go to somewhere like Penguin. Go to somewhere like 1914. 1914 do really well with the downloads. I'm not too sure about how Theory 11 do. I'm not 100% sure. You can approach streaming platforms, absolutely 100%. But I would say if you want to bring it out as its own physical download, you can do. Just make sure it's something really special. Okay, the final question today, and the final question by Andy Putt is, when your book is released, will you do a book stroke lecture tour? Last week I was at a lecture of Matthew Wright. He was amazing, and it reignited the need of lectures in person for me. But we need Craig Petty over here. After the lecture, we have a beer, so coming over to the Netherlands. I want to do more lectures. I want to do more lectures. I don't really know how to go around that. I was out of Magic for many, many years. I'm well versed within the Magic community, but I don't know how to organize a lecture tour. I know I want to do them. I know I want to do more Magic conventions. Everybody who sees my lecture says it's one of the best lectures they've ever seen, but I don't know how to do more lectures. So please tell me, help me, anybody who's watching this. I want to do lectures everywhere around the world, and I don't really know what to do about it. So help. Any help would be gratefully appreciated. But I would love to come to the Netherlands, and I would love to have a beer or 20. Yes, absolutely 100%. Help guide me. What do I do? So there you go, guys. That is another Q&A in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Stick around, because this evening there's going to be a review show special going up at 9 o'clock. At 6 o'clock we're going to have Magic Live, and there's a ton of stuff coming up on Magic TV next week. Thank you once again for joining me. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, go to the Netrix. It's www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. Go check it out, see what all the fuss is about. Thank you once again for joining me. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig. This is Magic TV.